blinking step into the sun. There's more to see than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done. Some say eat or be eaten, some say live and let live. But all are agreed as they join the stampede, you should never take more than you give. In the circle of life, it's the wheel of fortune. It's a leap of faith. It's a bend of hope till we find a place on the path unwinding. Oh, the circle, in the circle of life. Some of us fall by the wayside, some of us soar to the stars, some of us sail through our troubles, some have to live with the scars. There's far too much to take in here, more to find than can never be found. But the sun rolling high in the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round.